All right, back to Stephan Sterns and his upcoming hearings, and finally finishing up this deep dive of his jail phone calls, the batch we're finishing up as we're waiting for new information in the case, hopefully coming any day now from Florida. I keep checking my email. Anyway, in the meantime, Stephan Sterns' lawyer has some kind of confidential information. I want to talk about that a little bit before we deep dive into these calls. So we should see Stephan Sterns, or at least his case, in court on Tuesday, April 22nd, Earth Day. I don't know if he'll show up. Maybe he will. He's been showing up before, so maybe he'll show up in courtroom 4F at 2 Courthouse Square in Kissimmee, Florida. So this is regarding the motion to continue the defense's motion to suppress. We know a bunch of horrible stuff was found on Stephan Sterns' phone, and of course his lawyers don't want a jury or anyone to see all that horrific CSAM. So they want this Earth Day hearing because, quote, on February 6th, 2025, the defense filed 3 suppression motions challenging this exact evidence. It says that since filing that motion, the defense has come into possession of confidential information that may impact the presentation of evidence at that hearing. Okay, so I'm like, what is this confidential information? Will it remain confidential during the hearing? Or will the judge force Stephan's lawyers to talk about it, spill the beans, just to ensure, in good faith, like she's saying, she's not delaying this trial? So it has to be somehow related to Stephan Sterns' lawyer's attempt to suppress all this evidence found from the Google search warrant, from the so-called unlawful searches and seizures of his cell phone. We've gone over that ad nauseum, those interviews with Detective Myra Tagler. I love her, the way she was able to scoop up Stephan's phone, ask him several times for permission. Do you mind if I check your history? Can I look at your maps? Are you logged into your Google? You know we're going to download your phone, right? I'm going to hold on to your phone. Is it okay? Do I have your consent? I mean, there are multiple snippets of audio. I listened so hard to see all the time she asked for consent. So of course, bird brain Stephan thought he was smarter than your average bear, smarter than his mama bear, as we'll hear, him calling his mother Mama Bear, Deb, in these calls. So he thought he was so smart that he factory reset his phone twice on Monday, February 26, 2024, the day Madeline Soto, his girlfriend's 13-year-old daughter, was reported missing. But, of course, they were able to log in, they were able to sync things up, they were able to find all the nasty 1,700 files and videos of Maddie that Stephan had taken over the years, at least since 2019. What more could his lawyers have discovered regarding the way law enforcement maybe obtained his phone and his Google account information? By the lawyer calling it confidential information. So it's new. Since February 6th, 2025, sometime in between that time and now, the defense has come into possession of confidential info, and it just might impact the presentation of evidence. So it's got to be related to the phone stuff somehow. Confidential info reminds me of confidential informant. Did someone come forward and tell them more details about how the information was obtained from Stephan's phone? And who would have given them that information? Like, not another investigator. I don't think another investigator would have come forward and said, oh, Detective Tagler did this also, or she said this also, unless they are internal affairs or something. I don't know, that doesn't make sense, but maybe they got confidential information from, the phone company? Or I don't know what it could be. It just has us reeling of what she's talking about. Maybe it's not as big of a thing as we're expecting. Some people are like, is Jennifer flipping on him? Is it this? Is it that? But it's got to be something related to this phone stuff. And it's weird. As of this writing, his pre-trial hearing for the very next day, April 23rd. It's still on the docket as of this filming for 2 p.m., even as they already reset or canceled that 9 a.m. pretrial hearing that same day. So it's weird. They're asking for the judge to delay this big hearing on whether or not the evidence will be suppressed. Of course, that's a big deal. And of course, you never say never, never say, oh, that'll never happen. You know, stranger things have happened in these trials. So they left the 23rd hearing on the docket for now, 2 p.m., but then they added a Tuesday, April 22nd hearing to talk about, I guess, this confidential information. Maybe they'll just keep calling it confidential information, Judge. I have this, and, you know, maybe it's a lot for the attorneys to go through and they won't be ready for their presentation. What could it be? Anyway, we wait for that. The defense will not have time to develop this evidence before the currently scheduled motions to suppress scheduled hearing on April 23rd. So why haven't they reset that yet? The April 23rd one. Maybe they will. Maybe they're just delaying on the docket, but it's strange. As such, the defense is requesting to continue these hearings to be reset for a later date, that this motion is filed in good faith and not for the purpose of delay. She's like, I'm not playing you, Judge. We came into some confidential info. I really want to know what it is. I really do. And the state, of course, objects to this motion. Of course, it's enough delay. It's like, let's get this through. But anyway, let's go back to deep diving this remaining batch of calls out of those big 13 we received. I've been promising you the rest of this deep dive. And as you know, I was going over all the info I have at this point. And you know what? Out of all the call logs in my possession, I realized that compared to the other inmates, Stephan Sterns relatively hasn't made a ton of calls from the day he was transported to that Osceola jail on March 1st, 2024, before Maddie's body was found. It was sometime that Friday morning he was transported all the way up until October 18th, 2024. I think those are the call logs, just the logs that I have thus far, not all the calls. And I was thinking relatively compared to other inmates, like you see all those Wade Wilson calls that I don't listen to, but Ernest Williams calls, I listen to those. You know, some of those people were calling every day, but Sterns, you know, comparatively, he doesn't have a lot of calls. These are just the batch of 13. We had a previous one before that's only 14 calls. Of course, there's a lot of attempts where he didn't get through. And then there will be other calls coming, but from October 18th until today, April 19th, Saturday, I don't know how many calls he's made to his parents. But anyway, in fact, we will talk about in this batch of calls the long 3 months that Stephan reportedly went without even calling his parents. So what we're about to hear, amid much talk about books and candies and all that stuff, we will get a few poignant moments. You know, people usually start off with small talk, how's the weather, blah, 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 before they get down to the get down. So there are a few poignant moments when Deb will directly ask her son Stephan if he was ever assaulted as a child, and we'll end with the call. Previously it had cut off when I ran out of space on my MacBook in that video of the 13 phone calls. It was cut off. We'll end with Stephan describing the complete mental and emotional breakdown he claims he had when he found Maddie's body, along with his hallucinations in jail. So once again, I'm asking, is it all a ploy for sympathy or some kind of, you know, not guilty by reason of insanity attempt, or what is he like squirming his way into? But let's dive deep. Okay, so this first call we're going over in this batch, it is now Saturday, June 15th, 2024. And Stephan Sterns has decided to call his parents again. It's been about a week since he spoke with them last. The last time he called them was Friday, June 7th. And I always like to know what's happened since this call. What's going on? What information has come out at this point? What does everyone know? Well, I saw that on June 12th, 2024, I published the video titled New 896 Pages, Stephan Sterns Moved Madeline Soto to the Trunk. And Jennifer is using past tense. She's talking about disowning Maddie and all that stuff. Okay, here we go. People are going to be dissecting this document straight from the office of Andrew A. Bain. He is the state attorney out of the 9th Judicial Circuit in Orlando, Florida. It's an 896-page document. And once again, thank God I got it from the YouTuber, The Docket. He just has a way with FOIAs. He has a way with people. Check the links below to, follow him on Twitter X because he posts stuff, sometimes a lot on there, as well as subscribing to his YouTube channel. He was covering another case today, but he sent me this nearly 900-page document in the Jennifer Soto and Stephan Sterns case. And boy, it reveals so much more behind the scenes about what Jennifer did, what Stephan said. I don't think it makes Jennifer look very good at all. And so it's a lot of incident reports. It's a lot of interview notes. I guess Jennifer was interviewed several times about her then missing daughter, Madeline Soto, 13 years old. We have a lot of different viewpoints. Now, of course, I'm not going to read the entire nearly 900-page document to you. I scrolled through and researched a lot of it today, the whole thing. Oh my goodness, it took hours and hours and hours, and I was painting, so I still might have paint all over me. What a day. But I had to jump on here and read it to you guys, at least the highlights. I took a bunch of notes. They talk about Jennifer looking shady, speaking about Madeline in the past tense before they had even found Madeline's body. And I'm not going to get gruesome. There are some things in there, of course, no photos or nothing like that, nothing too gory or anything like that. A lot of it's been redacted, so I scrolled through a lot of black pages, and I don't plan on uploading this anywhere either. Not only is it just sensitive information, but it's also, even though it's redacted, I see that certain witnesses aren't redacted, or the man who owns the property where Maddie's body was found, and different people, even Sterns' dad, his phone number's in there. I saw a lot of stuff scrolling through that was just not as redacted as I would have liked, so I thought, okay, let me not post this anywhere. Let me take notes and tell you guys what I found the most interesting. I mean, they talk a lot. It makes me feel sad for Maddie. Oh, what she endured. They speak with her teachers, with her family, with friends. We get a deeper look into this horrible life that Maddie led. I mean, her friends, they sound wonderful, these little, obviously, teenagers. One of her friends even talks about Maddie's menstrual cycle. I mean, it's in here. It's a part of the documents. It's a part of the interview, and how she and Maddie were always kind of synced up. You know how women, we usually sync up when you're around another woman. If you've had roommates, you know, generally your menstrual cycles start syncing up. And this girl is going to talk about how Maddie's cycle was late in January. I don't know. That gave me pause. Now, all of this, of course, is never to disparage any victim, and I don't understand why some people are like, don't talk about that at all. Don't talk about any possibilities. But it can lead to the truly heinous and egregious nature, whatever was going on there, of what Stephan did to Maddie. Let's get into it. There's an interview with Stephan Sterns on February 27th, 2024, and he's revealing, this is the first time I knew this, Jennifer Soto indeed sent him off to sleep with her 13-year-old daughter, Madeline Soto, the night of her birthday party that Sunday. So imagine, this has come out. So keep that in mind. You know, these 896 pages, I'm sure his parents knew this. We were all digging through it. It came out June 12th. So now 3 days later, Saturday, June 15th, he's calling his parents. So it's late. The first call attempt is at 9:12 p.m. His account balance is $37. The call doesn't go through.
The time is 9:12 p.m.
United States of America.
After the tone, please say again, United States of America.
United States of America.
To hear your account balance is $37.
He tries again at 9:15. It keeps going to voicemail.
The time is 9:15 p.m.
United States of America.
He tries again at 9:17 p.m.
The time is 9:17 p.m.
United States of America.
And then finally at 9:19 p.m. on June 15th, 2024, Stephan gets through to his mom and dad. Hello, hi. Deb always sounds so chipper when she talks to him, like she's trying to, big him up and support him in that mom sort of way. I have it, Deb. I've got it, Chris says. So Stephan, Chris is saying, look, you called. The phone just flashed a call coming in and it just hung up. Chris is having problems. I don't know if he really hears or sees the phone coming in and catches it too late or what.
Press 1 for English. The time is 9:19 p.m.
United States of America.
Hello, you have a call
Hello?
with no offense to you from
Stephan Sterns.
an inmate at
Osceola County Corrections Department.
To accept this call, press or say 5. To refuse this call, hang up now. To block this call and all future calls, press or say 9.
5.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from... This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking.
I got that. I got it.
Hey.
Stephan. Hey.
Yeah.
I don't. You called and the phone just flashed a call coming in and then it just hung up.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, I figured I'd try Mom after I tried you 3 times, so.
Stephan's like, oh, weird. Yeah, I figured I'd try Mom after I tried you 3 times, so he called his mom's phone. How are you guys doing? What are you up to? That is interesting to note that Stephan always has tried his dad's number first. From the first time, the first records I ever received, even that March 1st, as soon as he was transported to Osceola and he was setting up his text messages and his jail phone calls and all that, he's always gone for his dad's number first, which again, he knows his dad is the money man. You know, he might have these emotional ties with his mother, but he knows his dad is the money man. He knows what he wants. Stephan is a user. Even when we talk about all these books he's requesting, we can see his using manipulative ways. So he always calls his dad's number first, but now after all this trouble, he's going to end up calling his mom's number.
Yeah.
Oh, how you guys doing?
What are you up to?
Not much. I got a late start at calling you this evening, so I'm probably only going to get the 1 call.
Oh, where have you been all week?
Well, I mean, I've been here, you know, so.
I know that, but taking all week to call, you couldn't get access to the phone?
I've been mostly sleeping the days and nights away. I've been feeling so tired lately.
Okay.
What's that?
So Stephan's like, he's not up to much, not much. I just got a late start calling you, so I'm probably only going to get the 1 call. Where have you been all week? Chris is asking. Well, I've been here, Stephan says. And Chris is like, well, I know that. I know you're in jail. Where are you going to go? You couldn't get access to the phone? Stephan's like, I've been mostly sleeping the days and nights away. I've been feeling so tired lately. So he starts off this call with the woe is me. Imagine, Maddie experienced the woes, whatever woes there were. Keep in mind, this is when we learned this man moved Maddie's limp body from the passenger seat of his parents' car to the trunk. Can you imagine how they felt hearing that information? But he starts off this call like, woe is me. I'm sleeping all the time. I've been so tired lately. He'll get into later like, I never feel full. I'm so hungry. Well, that's in the messages. I don't know if we'll get to read those again at the end. At the end of these June 15th and June 16th calls, that's when he transitions for a while to sending his parents text messages. If we have time, we'll read them again. We've read them before.
I said, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. How are you guys holding up?
Oh, good. Same old, same old.
Well, no, we're balls to the wall getting ready because she's having 8 puppies.
Oh, wow, okay. Wow, that is,
If we write you a note, can you come over and help?
What's that?
If we write you a note, can you come over and help?
Oh, that'd be great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. A little while back, some of the nurses or officers were talking to each other like, let's just take the day off today. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. You know what, guys? Let's all just take the day off today and come back tomorrow.
That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
They save so much money if they just put everybody in ankle bracelets and let them go home.
Well, that would be counterproductive because they want people to suffer.
So you're going to suffer enough once you go to prison, but if you're just in jail waiting trial, I don't know why you can't be on an ankle bracelet and come home.
Because suffer.
Suffer, okay. So we suffer too. We suffer right along with you.
Yeah. If I went home, that'd be, too tempting for me to do something and not go to trial probably. So they want to make sure that they have their eyes on me at all times.
But Deb chimes in when Stephan is asking, how are you guys holding up? And Chris is like, same old, but Deb says, no, we're balls to the wall getting ready because she's having 8 puppies. They're talking about their dog. So they joke about Stephan being able to come home. Can you help with the puppies? Can we write a note? It's cute. Chris is like, if we write you a note, can you come over and help? They're used to Stephan maybe being there. I don't know how much you really help with the puppies or any household chores, but Stephan muses, that'd be great, right? A little while back, some of the nurses and officers were talking to each other like, let's just take the day off. And I was like, yeah, you guys, that's a great idea. Let's just take the day off and come back tomorrow. Deb's like, that'd be good, she quips. They'd save so much money if they just put everybody in ankle bracelets and let them go home. Stephan's like, it'd be counterproductive because they want people to suffer. Deb says, you're gonna suffer enough once you go to prison. But if you're just in jail awaiting trial, I don't know why you can't be on an ankle bracelet and come home. So I wonder if Deb is saying here in her heart of hearts, she might be talking about you in general, but she's saying you're going to suffer enough once you go to prison. It's like she already knows Stephan is going to be convicted. That's what she's already kind of decided, I think, in her mind. The way she phrased that. Stephan says, because suffer, Deb, suffer. Okay, well, we suffer right along with you. Stephan says, yep. And if I went home, that would be too tempting for me to do something and not go to trial. So they want to make sure they have their eyes on me at all times. So I guess once again, Stephan is claiming he would end his own life. Once again, he's taunting his mom and dad with a notion of, oh boy, I'm so miserable. If I got out of here, you don't know what I would do. The same way he inferred when his dad asked him, why did he travel back out there to where he placed Maddie? And Chris said that Stephan inferred that it was to end his own life. Now, granted, I am grateful that Stephan did not do that. I don't believe anyone should do that. I mean, unless somehow directed by God. I know some people suffer. There's euthanasia. There's stuff like that. What I'm saying is Stephan seems to be dangling this like a carrot before his elderly parents. He's put him through so much already, but he's like, oh, I almost ended it, guys. I don't know. I just hate the way he does that to his parents.
Well, then why is it in a bracelet?
But it's like, I wouldn't waste too much energy having any sort of grudge or hurt feelings against her. She's suffering too in her own way, so.
Not as much as you are, sweetheart.
Well, she lost her daughter.
Yeah?
Her whole world was turned upside down too.
And you lost, a wonderful person that you love too.
Yep, but everyone's world got turned upside down by this. No one is having a good time here. Just remember that,
Has she tried to call you, or have you called her?
No. In fact, I'm under a strict no contact order during at least the trial. I'm not legally not supposed to contact her at all.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much standard operating procedure.
So Deb seems to ask, well then why isn't Jen in a place where she's suffering? So it's redacted, but through contextual clues you can kind of hear what she's saying. Stephan says, I wouldn't waste too much energy harboring any kind of a grudge or hard feeling against her. She's suffering too in her own way. Deb says, not as much as you are, sweetheart. That's just one of many, many terms of endearment you will hear Deb call Stephan. So back at this point, and remember, this was almost a year ago. I mean, it was June 2024. Deb still had this heart for him, like, you're suffering more than anyone else here, Stephan says, well, she lost her daughter. Her whole world was turned upside down, too. Stephan saying, my world was turned upside down, Jen's world was turned upside down, and you lost a wonderful person that you loved too. Deb is telling Stephan about Maddie. Deb has got to know by now that Stephan was caught on video moving Maddie's body, but I think in her mind she's just like, Jennifer did something, my boy was just left to clean up the pieces. That's what she's thinking. So maybe that's why she's going kind of easy on him, even though she knows about the CSAM too. Stephan, yep, that's right. Everyone's world got turned upside down by this. No one is having a good time here. Just remember that. And by the way, with Deb continuing to say that Stephan lost a wonderful person that he loved too, she's got to have a revelation that Stephan did not love Maddie. I mean, he did not love her in any sort of godly, wonderful father figure, innocent type of way. You know, people throw that word around, love, love, love. No, he lusted after her. He did horrible things to her, but that does not equate to love, not God's kind of love. Anyway, Deb is like, has she tried to call you or have you called her? So she's back on Jen. Stephan's like, no. In fact, I'm under a strict no contact order until at least the trial. So in his mind, he's like, yeah, back then he's like, I'm going to trial. Maybe now he's still like, yeah, I'm going to trial. I'm legally not supposed to contact her at all. I think that's pretty much standard operating procedure. Something about the way Stephan speaks and phrases things sometimes, it just gets on my nerves. Like he's just trying to be so smart. I think that's pretty much standard operating procedure. Anyway, Stephan lets out a big sigh and he says, you know, he's off of the Jennifer, you know, he's like, let me change the topic and bring some more sympathy for myself.
I'm almost kind of glad you guys aren't able to visit me or haven't come to visit me, because I feel like if you were to see my face, you guys would be a lot more concerned.
Why? Did somebody beat you up?
No, it's hard to get beat up in isolation, but I am very thin and my eyes are sunken in and I've got dark circles under my eyes and I look like hell.
I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm just very drawn and sort of emaciated looking. Even the social workers said, they came and visited me on Monday and they said, it looks like I'd lost some more weight. So, I have no idea how much I weigh now, but I can see myself getting thinner.
I'm almost glad you guys aren't able to visit me or haven't come visit me, because I feel like if you were to see my face, you'd be a lot more concerned. So he's swiftly changing that subject. Let's stop talking about Jen and all that. He brings it back to his woe is me self. It's telling here. There's loaded conversation. We learn that his parents, as of June 2024, have not come to physically drive and visit him, even though I guess they would have been allowed to at this point. I mean, they're already shelling out the dollars for all this commissary, for all these books. I mean, Chris has got to work still. He had switched careers at this point after here sometime. He talks about it in the text messages. They haven't come to see him, and they might be afraid of all the hate they would get or public attention if they were spotted going into Kissimmee, going to talk to him. But he's like, I'm almost glad. It's like he's almost hinting to them like, you need to come see me, but I'm almost glad you guys aren't able to visit me, because I feel like if you were to see my face, you'd be a lot more concerned. Why, did somebody beat you up? Deb asks. Then Stephan, being smart again, no, it's hard to get beat up in isolation. He's like, I don't know, it's just such, I want to say back talk. It's almost like this, I don't know, just the way he talks. But I am very thin and my eyes are sunken in and I've got dark circles under my eyes and I look like hell. Deb says, I'm so sorry, honey. So sorry. So it's working, you know, the woe is me is working on Mom. Stephan, yeah, just very drawn and emaciated looking. Even the social worker said they came to visit me on Monday and said it looked like I'd lost some more weight. I have no idea how much I weigh now, but I can see myself getting slimmer. Now that reminded me of the Stephen King novel, Oh, The Thinner. Remember Thinner? But they didn't ask for that book coming up. They talk about so much Stephen King.
How the fun's holding up?
Well, I saw that you put $30 in there the last Friday that we talked. I hadn't made any orders since then, though. So I just got the cost today and saw that. So as of today, there was $16 left. But I did need to make an order. So actually, if you get a chance, I need to drop about $50 or so in there if you can.
All right.
I ordered a buttload more coffee, a few more hard candies, some sleeves of saltines, but I needed to get some hygiene items as well, so I got some dandruff shampoo and some washcloths.
Okay.
Anyway, Chris is like, how are the funds holding up? So it's working on Dad too. Stephan is inferring without coming out and saying it, I look so emaciated and my eyes are sunken in. Later he's going to say, I think in the text messages, my cheekbones, they could cut somebody. Like he's so dramatic. He's acting like he's on some 90-day hunger strike. No, but Chris picks up on it in a practical way. Okay, how are the funds holding up? Obviously, you're hinting towards needing more commissary money. And might I say, Stephan has to realize some people in jail, they don't get any money on their books. whatever they're served in there, and apparently I guess it's not that great of food, that's all they get. They don't get the extras, whatever snacks or stuff you can buy on the commissary. I don't know if Stephan really appreciates that. Stephan says, well, I saw that you put $30 in there last Friday that we talked. I hadn't made any orders since then, though, so I just got the something today and saw that. So as of today, there was $16 left. But I did need to make an order. So actually, if you get a chance, I need you to drop about $50 or so in there if you can. Chris is like, all right. So no thanks or anything from Stephan's mouth at that point. And I think I've seen there are fees, like $2 fees that come out periodically. So that eats up some of his dad's money too that he gives. So Stephan says, I ordered a buttload more coffee. Sounds like he says buttload instead of boatload, that would be on brand for him. Remember, he has those anal kinks that Jen talked about. A few more hard candies, some saltines, but I need to get some hygiene items as well. So I got some dandruff shampoo and some washcloths. Good. Is he taking a shower? Oh, I should put the latest jail notes I got in here. I should just throw it up on the screen to show you all the times he's rejected showers lately.
Did you get the books yet?
No. To that effect, Dad, were you ever able to follow up with the people at the mailroom and find out what's going on?
Yeah, we found out that the address that was given us is the wrong address, and so now we have the correct address, and so now we're trying to chase down where the order is so that we can get those books returned and order new books for you.
Really? Damn, what the hell? It was in the inmate handbook. I guess they need to update this stupid inmate handbook. So what, do you have to send the books to this actual address here at the jail?
Yep.
Wonderful.
And they had already returned the Cotta book. So I guess whoever at the other part of the Osceola.
No. I remember we double-ordered the books. That was the last book I returned.
Oh, okay.
Because I took it to Staples, and then it's, oh no, this isn't us.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha. Never mind.
Okay, so I guess
Just read that.
once you get the books sent to this address, they should get through then.
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess it's a good thing we figured that out, I guess. I don't know why they haven't updated this stupid handbook.
Me either.
It's pretty silly. They're handing everybody this thing and it's got the wrong information.
Anyway, okay, did you get the books yet? Deb asks. No. Dad, were you ever able to follow up with the people in the mailroom and find out what was going on? Chris is like, yeah, we found out that the address that was given to us was the wrong address. So now we have the correct address. So now we're trying to shake down where the order is so that we can get those books returned and order new books for you. So Stephan is angry about the mix-up. There's the wrong address in this pamphlet they gave him. Stephan gets a little mad. Really? Damn, what the hell? It was in the inmate handbook. I guess they need to update the stupid inmate handbook. So what do you have to send the books to this actual address at the jail? Chris is like, yep. Stephan's like, oh, wonderful. Deb is like, and they already had returned this Cotta book, that exercise book. So I guess whoever at the other Osceola, and then Chris is like telling her, no, remember we ordered the books, that was the last book I returned, something about taking it to Staples, and Deb is like, gotcha. Stephan's like, so I guess once you get the books to this address, they should get through then? Chris is like, yeah. Stephan's like, well, it's a good thing we figured that out, I guess. Well, Stephan didn't really figure out much, but anyway, I don't know why they haven't updated this stupid handbook. Deb is like, me either. Stephan's like, that's pretty silly. They're handing everybody this thing and it's got the wrong information.
So I found a file folder that had your operative report from Irvine when they did your kidney, so we're sending that to your attorneys.
Okay.
Sarasota Hospital, I still don't have anything on, but apparently since there was a lawsuit and it was finished, we can go through or Rebecca or somebody can go through the Sarasota County Clerk's office to get that complete transcript of that.
Okay.
So they need to jump on that and do that. But I've got this operative report here that you were going to really looking at the Navy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send that. And I found your original high school diploma.
Oh, cool.
And your original birth certificate. And we now have 3 here at the house for you.
No, well, it's good to have spares.
I just made the deposit for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
So Deb starts talking about all this info she found. Remember before Stephan wanted his birth certificate and all this stuff, just in case he ever gets out. And of course he wanted a trust fund set up, for him by his parents. Deb is like, I found a file folder that had your operative report from Irvine. So that must have been when they were in California, when they did your kidney. So we're giving that to your attorney. I don't know if that was like fallout from the accident when the truck ran over him or not. If that accounts for any of the markings or whatever, surgical scars we saw, I don't know. She says something about hospital. I still don't have anything on, but apparently since there was a lawsuit, since it was finished, Rebecca, that's his attorney, or somebody can go through the Sarasota County Clerk's office and get that complete transcript of that. Lots of luck, because I tried. You guys know. They need to jump on that and do that. I've got this operative report here when you were looking in the Navy. So Stephan must have inquired about going into the Navy, but apparently he never did. I don't know if his brother went into the Navy. You guys know I went down that rabbit hole. The Sarasota County Clerk's office in Florida only gave me 4 pages of Stephan's lawsuit when that truck ran over him when he was a little boy. It's important for this trial because obviously they're saying he had a TBI. Obviously, they're going to blame a lot. Oh, is that the confidential information? No, that can't be it. They're going to blame a lot on this TBI. So it's very important that they have, what was it, from the 90s when Stephan was only 8 or whenever it was, that truck ran over him. They're going to say it caused the TBI and they'll blame that for his actions all these years later. Well, Sarasota County told me everything was destroyed except the 4 pages they gave me, which were just docket listings, not the actual, documents from the lawsuit. I couldn't see. I didn't get any transcripts or anything. That's all they had left. So I don't know how much more info Deb was able to get out of Sarasota County about this lawsuit to help bolster those TBI claims, but I guess we'll see. So Stephan's like, yeah, all right. And Deb's like, and I found your original high school diploma. Sounds like Stephan's going to say cool beans, but Deb is interrupting him. And your original birth certificate, have 3 here at the house for you. So Stephan's making some kind of unintelligible joke and Deb is laughing. And Chris is over there, the money man. I just made the deposit for you. So he finally says, okay, thank you. Stephan says, I appreciate that.
I got some more root beer barrels in that order, some Starlight Mints, and I also ordered some butterscotch discs just to change it up a little bit too.
Oh, I love butterscotch.
Yeah, I figured the old man candies are probably the ones that don't sell out the fastest.
Old man candies?
Yeah, the root beer barrels, butterscotch, the mint,
So what sells out the fastest?
What's that?
What sells out the fastest?
Jolly Ranchers, sour fruit balls,
okay.
Things like that.
Gotcha.
Of course, I order for the sour fruit balls just in case they're actually back in stock. I'd like to try them out at some point.
So you know what Jolly Ranchers are like, so.
Oh yes, they're delicious, which is, why I'm really bummed that I can pretty much never freaking get them.
They have lemon drops?
Yeah, they have like lemon heads, lemon drops.
Oh, okay.
But they're more expensive.
You must be pursing your lips when you get those.
Well, I haven't gotten any because they're over $2 for a pack of them.
Wow, okay.
You're talking about one of those little box packs or a bag?
I'm not sure. I guess I could order them to find out, but I'd rather get stuff that I know I'm getting better bang for my buck. So anyway.
I can't believe it took you going to jail to learn how to budget.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
Silver linings.
Yeah. If there is one.
Yeah, it took me going to jail to have some clarity on a lot of shit.
I got some more root beer barrels in that order. I got some Starlight Mints. I also ordered some butterscotch just to change it up a bit. Deb is like, oh, I love butterscotch. Stephan's like, yeah, I figured the old man candies are the ones that don't sell out the fastest. And Chris is like, old man candies? This is the second time during all these calls that Stephan has mentioned the phrase old man. And before, during that interview with the police, he called his parents, oh, 2 deaf old people yelling at each other. And then he told his dad, oh, I'm feeling like an old man when he needed glasses. I don't think he ever ended up ordering the glasses. We'll see when we hear more calls and get more commissary listings. But anyway, mean, what's up with that? It's kind of like an insult. Like, I know you joke and maybe call your parents old, but it's kind of like your dad just broke you off some money here. You say thanks, and then you're talking about old man candies. I don't know. It's kind of insulting. It's like ageism. It's not right. None of the isms are right. Whether you're old or young, ageism is not nice. Anyway, Stefan's like, yeah, root beer barrels, butterscotch, the mint, you know. Chris is like, what sells out the fastest? Stefan's like, Jolly Ranchers, sour fruit balls, something pops, something like that. Deb is like, lemon drops used to. And Stefan's like, of course, I put in an order for the sour fruit balls. Just in case they're back in stock, I'd like to try them out at some point. So I guess Stefan really has a sweet tooth. So Deb is like, so you know what Jolly Ranchers are? And Stefan's like, oh yes, they're delicious, which is why I'm bummed I can never freaking get them. We used to call them wine candy back in Chicago. I don't know if that's a Chicago thing or a 1970s thing or what. Anyway, Chris is like, they have lemon drops? Stefan's like, yeah, they've got like lemon heads, lemon drops, but they're more expensive. Chris is like, you must be pursing your lips when you get those. They are really sour. I do love lemon heads. Deb is laughing. Stefan is saying, well, I haven't gotten any because they're over $2 a pack for them. Do they have those little boxes or pack or bag? Deb is asking. Stefan's like, I'm not sure. I guess I could order them to find out. If I get something, I know I'm getting a better bang for my buck. And I'm thinking, it's not your buck. Deb is like, I can't believe it took you going to jail to learn how to budget. Zing! I was like, that's a good little zinger. Yeah, I know, right? Silver linings, Stefan says. Deb is like, if there is one. So I know it's comforting. It's a lot easier to just talk about candy. And this is their way of caring for their boy. They can just give him candy. And it's a safe topic. When they get into the deeper topics, well, the feelings come out and then the hesitation. Stefan's going to start stuttering when he's talking about after he found Maddie and all that stuff. That'll be at the end, so stick with me, please. Stefan's like, yeah, it took me going to jail to have some clarity on a lot of ish.
Yeah.
About what's really most important in life, about how cavalier and careless I've been, and with all the people and things and whatnot that I love and enjoy, and
yeah, about what's really most important in life, how cavalier and careless I've been with all the people and things and whatnot that I love and enjoy. When he gets on a little script, he sticks with it. Just like he said, you know, Maddie, it's an image thing. You know, that's why she's embarrassed by his car. It's an image thing. He really gets those lines down pat like a seasoned actor. So this how cavalier and careless I've been with all the people and things and whatnot. He said that in previous calls. To me, it's kind of not coming from the heart. He lets out a deep sigh, and this is the closest I think they'll get to an apology from him. So he's not wanting to say, I'm sorry. Like, he doesn't even have to get into any type of confessions. So I get why he's staying away from saying, I'm sorry. You know, he doesn't say, I'm sorry I hurt Maddie. Of course, he's not going to confess that on a call. He's super uber aware of that. But he never just says, I'm so sorry you're going through this, Mom and Dad. I'm so sorry I kind of put you through this. Or, you know, he doesn't say that kind of stuff. But Deb, here's where she asks the personal question. Can I ask you a personal question, Stefan? Stefan says, sure.
Can I ask you a personal question, Stefan?
sure.
Did anybody ever abuse you sexually?
I don't know about abuse, but I mean, it was kind of sexualized early on.
By who?
Kids in the neighborhood. I had my first French kiss when I was 6 years old. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. Remember Nick Poland on Fall Stars Court?
Was it him?
No, it was his sister,
Oh.
Samantha.
Uh-huh.
We were all playing hide and seek. I hid in the closet. She found me and planted one on me, and there was her tongue.
Well, she has her mother as a great example.
Well, she was also like a year or two older than us, so who knows what the hell was going on there.
So she was just experimenting. Somebody told her about it. She was trying it.
And then, of course, you know, a lot of the kids in the neighborhood used to go around flashing each other, and me included. You know, girls used to flash me and stuff, and I don't know. It was a weird time. The 90s were a weird time.
Yeah, it's pretty promiscuous.
Yeah. I mean, even the next door neighbor Diane used to, you know, show me what she had going on. So.
Who's Diane?
In California.
The old lady next door?
her daughter,
Oh,
our granddaughter.
oh, okay.
But, yeah, well, anyway. So,
Well, it's just that, they say that sometimes when you like children, that you have been an abused child, and it was intimated that perhaps we had abused you in some way.
no, he has never did. And strictly speaking, I'm not actually into younger people like that. As you know, I don't even like most kids, so it's just hard to feel a generalized attraction towards any of them.
Was it just her, or was it other people as well?
Did anybody ever abuse you sexually? Stephan says, I don't know about abuse, but I was kind of sexualized early on. So it's a great question. Deb, of course, like any mom, any parent, anybody would, you look for reasons. When a horrible crime happens, the first question is just like, why? Why did you do that? Why would you do that to a little innocent girl? It's a great question, but Stephan, of course, switches it around. He's going with this victimization line of thinking proposed by his mom, and she's trying to understand, why would he victimize a child? Deb is like, by who? Stephan's like, oh, kids in the neighborhood. I had my first French kiss when I was 6 years old. Did you know that? And Deb is like, no. I hate when he asks his parents, well, did you know that? Or I bet you didn't know this. Like, I have info that you don't have. Ugh. So Stephan's like, remember Nick Poland on Saul Starr's court? I've run a background report on Stephan, and I know he may have lived on this Saul Starr's court in Sarasota, Florida from around June 1993, maybe up to November 2000 or so. He would have been around 7 at the time, initially. And Deb is like, was it him? And Stephan's like, no, it was his sister, Samantha. We were all playing hide and seek, and I hid in a closet, and she found me and planted one on me, and there was her tongue. And Deb's like, well, she had her mother as a great example. And Stephan's like, well, yeah, she was also a year or two older than us. So who knows what the hell was going on there? And I'm like, I know he's not trying to equate kisses that happened when he was like a 7-year-old or whatever with some 8 or 9-year-old girl with anything similar to what he did to Maddie. Who hasn't gone through these little kid-like games? I remember back in the day, they would play catch a girl, kiss a girl, and the boys would chase us, or in the snow in Chicago, they'd be pushing us down in the snow and trying to get kisses and all that stuff. I'm not saying it's right or whatever, it's just what kids do when you're 7 or 8 or whatever. I know he's not equating him as like a 30-something-year-old man doing what he did to Maddie when she was like only 8. You know, that does not compare. Kids are going to mess around and experiment and do things and play and whatever when they're around the same ages, of course, 7 and all that, figuring life out, figuring out the feelings you have and all that stuff. But it's almost like he's trying to equate that with, oh, this 8-year-old girl planted a French kiss on me and there was her tongue. Even Deb kind of brings him down to earth with this. She's like, she was just experimenting. Somebody told her about it and she was trying it. And then Stephan goes, okay, he's like, I better say something else. And then a lot of kids in the neighborhood running around flashing. Girls used to flash me and stuff. It was a weird time. The 90s were a weird time. Deb was like, yeah, it was pretty promiscuous. So she doesn't say precocious. That's what she called Maddie, precocious. And I think some people mix that up. Deb is calling these times in the 90s promiscuous. And Chris, again, is notably quiet. We know from Deb's would-be divorce papers we went through what she alleges her husband was doing in the 90s, what he had around the house. Part of me wonders if Stephan found any of those magazines when he was a little boy. Did that prompt any kind of interest? I wonder these things. But then Stephan, one more time, one more, instance, and I'm not minimizing any maltreatment that anyone has received. I just don't like the way Stephan is using it here almost to try and justify his actions against Maddie. That's what I don't like. Like R. Kelly. I feel sympathy for R. Kelly for what he experienced, and it seems like beyond what Stephan experienced. As a little boy, it was horrible, it was horrific. But you can't then say, that's why I grew up to be this man who went and did all this to these other children. That doesn't fly. It's horrible if someone experiences that stuff as a child, and I hope they can be healed and get counseling and, move on to be the best parent ever. Treat children much better ever than they were ever treated, because the person who experienced that growing up knows how much it hurts. They know the damage. Anyway, Stephan is like, yeah, even the next door neighbor Diane used to show me what she had going on. And Chris is like, who's Diane? Deb's like, in California. And Chris cracks me up because he's like, the old lady next door? That cracked me up. I mean, it wouldn't have been right if some old lady was showing Stephan what she had going on back then, but no. Deb's like her daughter, her granddaughter. Chris is like, okay. Stephan sighs. So Deb is like, they say sometimes when you like children, she calls them out, even though she's saying you in general, maybe she's kind of calling him out too. They say sometimes when you like children that you have been an abused child, and it was intimated that perhaps we had abused you in some way. So Stephan says, no, you guys never did. Strictly speaking, I don't. And then he says, I'm not actually into younger people like that. It was a weird way to say it, right? I think 35,000 CSAM images of other children and 1,700 photos and videos of Maddie says otherwise. But anyway, let's go with it, Stephan. I don't even like most kids, so it's hard to give a generalized attraction towards any of them, I think he says. It's such a weird thing to say. I guess he knows he can't deny it outright, but he clears his parents saying, no, you guys never abused me. But then he goes on and saying, strictly speaking, I'm not actually into younger people like that. So Deb, intuitive, she says, was it just her or other people as well? Stephan's like, I can't get into specific details, but it was not a thing with anybody. He's stuttering now. He can't get the words out. So there's some redacted info right about here. It's likely about Maddie and Jen. And Deb says, all right, we got it.
Can't get into specific details, but no, it was not a thing with anybody. It was
All right, got it.
So I wonder if Stephan is pointing blame at Jen right here, almost saying like, she forced Maddie on me, or she offered her up on a silver platter and I couldn't resist, or whatever he's saying. Maybe he doesn't say that, but we don't know. It's redacted. Stephan says, yeah, I don't want to get into too much detail for Deb's like, yeah, I know. Stephan's like, confirm or deny anything officially, anything that could be used against me. I mean, I haven't seen the inside of a courtroom yet, so it would be kind of stupid to be making anything that could be construed as an admission of guilt.
But I don't want to get too much into details or
Yeah, I know.
confirm or deny anything officially, anything that could possibly be used against me. I mean, I haven't seen the inside of a courtroom yet, so it would be kind of stupid to be making anything that could be construed as an admission of guilt.
So he's walking a fine line here. He knows he can't say, I guess, to his parents, I'm not attracted to children, I'm not this, I'm not that, because then they know better, like, okay, we know about all the CSAM. I don't know, he's trying to walk this line, and it's not working.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering who I needed to go Mama Bear on if they had hurt you as a child.
No, unfortunately, shit was just weird back in the 90s, and unfortunately I got exposed to all that stuff pretty early on.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but none of it was your guys' fault.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Well, I would hope you'd feel better. You have nothing to feel bad about in that regard. I mean, it might have been a little more heavy on the discipline than I would have cared for, but, you know.
Well, look what I had for an example of when I was growing up.
Yeah, you know.
And you know, I didn't treat you as bad as my mother treated me, so.
Yeah.
And you probably would have been a better father.
But, anyway, I mean, there's no point in getting into that.
No.
You know, a while back I would have joked around and said, hey, but I turned out fine, but I can't really say that right now.
Okay.
So,
No, can't say that.
But, you know, I'm praying every day and still holding out hope and praying to Jesus and asking for His help and His mercy and asking Him to help deliver me from this if it's possible and to continue to give me the strength to endure it and get through it and to continue watching out for her and take care of her.
There's no problem with she's in the best place she can be, if not here.
Yep.
1 minute remaining.
I'm sorry.
These things go so fast.
I know.
Well, I'm not going to be able to call you again tonight just because it's already really late, and by the time the cool-down period is over, it's going to be like 10 minutes until the phone system shuts off.
Okay, darling. So try again.
I will call you back tomorrow evening, though, and I'll try to get an earlier start at it, okay?
Okay, love you.
I love you too, Mama Bear. I love you, Dad.
Love you too.
Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Deb is like, yeah, I was just wondering who I needed to go mama bear on if anyone had hurt you as a child. So I'm like, why won't Deb go mama bear on Stephen for hurting Maddie as a child? Well, of course, that's not her flesh and blood. That's not her daughter. That's just some little girl, you know, that Jennifer had. That, of course, Maddie's life wasn't as important as Stephan's life. I'm talking about the viewpoint of Deb. That's what I get from reading between the lines, reading her behavior. Stephan's like, no, unfortunately, Ish was just weird back in the 90s. Unfortunately, I got exposed to all that stuff pretty early on. It's like he's trying to come up with more ways to make himself a victim. Okay, many of us were exposed to stuff we should not have seen as children, especially these days. Heaven forbid. I mean, back in my day, it's like, my Dad had some kind of weird book with unclothed people, and then we were like, oh, what is this? Or, when cable came around, or even my friend, she talked about one time finding a Hustler magazine, and the first thing she found was like, I'll just say it involved urination. I mean, as a child seeing that stuff, you don't know how that's going to impact you. But we, bless God, did not grow up to internalize it and to hurt children as a result. So Stephan just keeps trying to make himself a victim. Anyway, he says, but none of it was your guys' fault. Deb's like, well, that makes me feel better. Stephan's like, well, I hope you feel better. You have nothing to feel bad about in that regard. You might have been more heavy on the discipline than I would have cared for, but Deb is like, look, what I had for an example when I was growing up, I didn't treat you as bad as my mother treats me. And you probably would have been a better father, I think she says. And Stephan's like, there's no point into getting into that. A while back, I would have joked, hey, but I turned out fine. But I can't really say that now. So he's almost throwing his mom under the bus there for the way he turned out. He didn't like his mom's physical discipline. I get it back in the day. Like my mom used to spank me too. I don't know how bad, Deb spanked Stephan. It's like kind of old school growing up. They don't necessarily do that as much, hopefully these days. But he didn't like her discipline. But it's almost like he's blaming his mom here. And Deb is saying, look, my mom raised me a certain way. I get it. We kind of learn the discipline the way we got it. But he's saying, I would have joked, hey, I turned out fine. But, now I can't say that. And Deb's laughing. Nope, you can't say that. Like, basically, you're not fine. You're in jail. Stephan's like, but I'm praying every day and holding out hope, praying to Jesus and asking for his help and his mercy and asking him to help deliver me from this if it's possible. That reminds me of that line in the Bible. Stephan really needs to dig into his Bible if he's going to be, throwing the name of Jesus around. Very powerful name, might I say. I'm not blaspheming anyone. If that's possible, asking for him to help deliver. Somewhere in the Bible, someone said something of Jesus about if it's possible, and then Jesus was like, if. Like, that's what this reminded me of real quick. All things are possible with God. Whether God will do it or not is his decision. But anyway, Stephan's like, to give me the strength to endure it, get through it, to continue watching out for Maddie. I could hear that, her name dropped, and take care of her. Deb's like, there's no problem with Maddie. She's in the best place she can be, if not here. I agree with that. Maddie, unfortunately, since her life was taken, which is not God's will, but since her life was taken, she's in heaven. She's in the best place she can be. So Stephan is picking up pretty quickly on his mother's admonition in the previous calls that the only way to get to God is through Jesus. Jesus is the way. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. So he picked up on that pretty quickly. His mom is like, oh, the only way to get to God is through Jesus. So he's now mentioning Jesus. How much he's reading his Bible, I don't really know. Maybe he is. Anyway, 1 minute remaining. Stephan is like, yep, these things go so fast. Well, I'm not going to be able to call you again tonight because it's already really late. And by the time the cool down period is over, it's going to be like 10 minutes before the phone system shuts off. So they have a 15-minute cool down period, I guess. So the person's not just like calling back to back to back. Besides, Stephan has his money already from Daddy, so no need to call back tonight. Deb's like, okay, darling. She's calling him darling, sweetheart, all these things. Try again. Stephan's like, I'll call you back tomorrow evening, and I'll try to get an earlier start at it, okay? Okay, I love you. I love you too, Mom Bear. I love you, Dad. So she's mentioned being Mama Bear, so now he's like, I love you too, Mom Bear. Chris is like, love you too. Stephan's like, okay, talk to you tomorrow. Bye. So the next day, June 16th, 2024, Stephan tries calling back, 8:04 p.m.
The time is 8:04 p.m.
United States of America.
Your other account balance
is $64.17. Your account balance is $33.85.
His other account balance is $64.17, so he's got some money in there, some bucks from Daddy Big Bucks, Daddy Warbucks. Your account balance is $33.85, so he's got some money on his books. It doesn't go through, so he's calling back at 8:06 p.m. He has to repeat that United States of America louder.
The time is 8:06 p.m.
United States of America.
After the tone, please say again, United States of America.
United States of America.
He tries again at 8:09 p.m. He tries again 1 minute later at 8:10 p.m.
The time is 8:09 p.m.
United States of America.
The time is 8:10 p.m.
United States of America.
Finally, at 8:13 p.m. on June 16th, 2024, Stephan gets through. Stephan's like, hey. Deb's like, hi, sweetie, hey.
The time is 8:13 p.m.
United States of America.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Stephan Sterns.
an inmate at Oslo. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time. Thank you for using IC Solutions. You may begin speaking now.
Hey.
Hi, sweetie. Hey.
So Chris is like, look, that phone app is not working right now. So the same number you just called your mother, everything's the same except my last 4 digits, 6588. All right, don't use that other number because it flashes up on the screen and it says I missed the call. I never got a chance to answer it, so it must be some kind of special app. Stephan's like, so don't use the jackpot number anymore? So he's probably talking about one of his dad's numbers. It begins with 777. So Chris gets it, the jackpot number. Okay, don't use the jackpot number.
That phone app is not working right. So the same number you just called your mother, everything's the same except my last 4 is 6588.
Okay.
All right. So don't use the other number because it flashes up on the screen and it says I missed the call. I never got a chance to answer it.
So don't use the jackpot number anymore?
The jackpot number. Okay, don't use the jackpot number.
All right.
Hey. You want puppy watch?
Yeah.
Okay. What we say, Mom?
I said we're on puppy watch. She's in there nesting in the whooping box.
Oh, so she's about to have them?
Yes, ma'am, sir.
Well, anytime.
We're ready. We're ready.
I'm jealous.
I wish you were here.
Yeah, me too. I love puppy time.
Okay, Stephan says 6588. Deb jumps in. What were you saying, Mom? He's asking. Deb's like, I say we're on puppy watch. She's in there nesting, I think, in the something box. Stephan's like, ooh, so she's about to have him? Yes, ma'am, sir. Chris is like, anytime. Deb's like, we're ready, we're ready. Stephan's like, man, I'm jealous. Deb's like, I wish you were here. Stephan's like, yeah, me too. I love puppy time. So that's not what he told the cops about the noisy dogs and getting away from those dogs. And maybe he does appreciate the little things in life, definitely now being in jail. I tell you, every month I go in only for 1 hour per month to prison ministry, walking in that jail for only 1 hour. Let me tell you, being in there, ministering, leaving, 1 hour. I appreciate the fresh air, the sky, my dogs, like everything I see. I can take a bath or shower when I want to. I can wear what I want to. Like, it's weird how even me going in there for 1 hour, every time I come out, I appreciate so much that's around me. It's just wild. So I'm sure Stephan is like missing so many things right now. Maybe his deaf old parents yelling at each other and they maybe weren't so bad. And the puppies making all that noise, maybe they weren't so bad after all. Deb's like, I know, baby, I know.
I know, baby, I know.
So we ordered some books for you. So yeah, so we shipped them to the new address, and obviously we're chasing the order that's sitting over there in Seminole. But what did we get? About 6 books.
4 or 5. We got 2 Michael Crichtons. I got a Sudoku and a card.
Can you repeat that? You were breaking up a little bit.
Before.
Okay, did you hear what he just said? Okay, he was talking. We got 2 Michael Crichton books, we got a card book, we got a Sudoku, and we got, what?
Anything else?
Okay, 2 Michael Crichtons.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a Sudoku.
Yeah.
Got a card game.
Yeah.
Okay, that's $4.
Yeah.
Okay, $4. $70 for $4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so 4 books.
Okay, cool. Very nice. Which Michael Crichton books did you get me? Do you remember?
We got, was it Sapphire?
No.
No, what's the one that started with S?
What is Sphere?
Sphere, yeah, thank you. And then,
I think did we get Volcano?
no, I don't know what you got. Anyway, we got 2 Michael Crichton books, the card books, the Sudoku.
Okay, very
And I think it's supposed to arrive Tuesday.
Okay, very cool. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for those then.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm not the Eaters of the Dead.
Eaters of the Dead.
Eaters of the Dead. Oh, very cool. Very cool, Art.
Yeah.
No, that was a movie.
What's that?
That was a movie. We got 3 Michael Crichtons. We got Eaters of the Dead, Fear, and what is it? Dragon Teeth.
Which one?
Dragon Teeth.
Dragon Teeth. Oh, okay. I don't think I've read that one yet. What's that about?
And then there's Timeline. We also got Michael Crichton Timeline.
Oh, awesome. Oh, you got some good ones.
And 1,000 Sudokus.
Yeah.
Easy to hard.
I think the only other one, Michael Crichton one that I had for my list was Jurassic Park as well, so.
Yeah, scroll up there.
Chris is like, so we ordered some books for you. Stephan's like, you did? Chris is like, so we sent them to the new address. And obviously we're chasing the order that's still sitting over there in Seminole, but what, we get 6 books? Deb's like, well, 4 or 5. We got a couple of Michael Crichtons. I got a Sudoku, a card something. Stephan's like, can you repeat that? You're breaking up. And Deb keeps talking. Chris is like, hey, did you hear what he just said? Deb's like, what? So they're stepping over each other and not really listening. Chris is like, okay, he was talking. Okay, we got 2 Michael Crichton books. We got a card book. We got a Sudoku. Okay, 4 books. $70 for 4 books. Deb confirmed. So he's letting him know, look, we are really spending some money on you, son. All right, so 4 books. Stephan, okay, cool. Very nice. Not thanks, but okay, cool. Very nice. Which Michael Crichton books did you get me? Do you remember? Chris is like, was it Sapphire? Deb's like, no. What's the one that starts with an S? Stephan's like, was it Sphere? And Chris is like, Sphere. Yeah, thank you. And then, I think Deb says, did we get Volcano? Chris is like, no, I don't know what you got. Anyway, we got 2 Michael Crichton books, the card game, Sudoku. Stephan's like, okay, great. He sounds half-hearted because at this point he's not telling his parents, but there's a specific list of books that he gave his social worker, hoping she would pass those to the lawyer, hoping the lawyer would pass those on to Stephan's parents. So he's kind of feigning being grateful or thankful. It's good that he didn't quite bring it up like, that's not what I wanted, Mom and Dad. Anyway, Chris is like, I think it's supposed to arrive Tuesday. Stefan's like, okay, very cool. I have to keep an eye out for those then. Deb's like, no, I got you Eaters of the Dead. Stefan's like, Eaters of the Dead. Oh, very cool. Which sounds very creepy to me based on this murder case he's facing, but anyway, I don't know what that one's about. Deb's like, that was a movie. We got 3 Michael Crichtons. We got Eaters of the Dead, Sphere. What was it? Dragon Teeth. Stefan's like, which one? Chris is like, Dragon Teeth. Stefan's like, Dragon Teeth. Oh, I don't think I read that one yet. What's that about? Neither of his parents answer him. They probably can't hear him. Chris is like, and then there's Timeline. We also got Michael Crichton Timeline. Stefan sounds sort of fake happy as he says, oh, awesome. You got some good ones. So he's patronizing them in a way. And 1,000 Sudokus. Stefan's like, I think the only other Michael Crichton one I had from my list was Jurassic Park. So to me, after all those purchases, all the stuff he's put his parents through, mind you, all the books that didn't make it, all the things they bought incorrectly because they don't know the jail rules yet, stuff just sitting in his property in perpetuity, after they put that needle in his arm, if he gets the death penalty, his stuff will still be sitting in his property, I guess. Still, his parents don't get a thank you. They get Stephan hinting at his list and telling them the book they're missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got arriving Tuesday. Eaters of the Dead is arriving on the 24th, which is like a week later. And then card games for travelers.
Yes.
Okay. And then arriving Tuesday, again, more arriving Tuesday Timeline and Sudoku. So there was like 5 books.
Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. Ooh, that's exciting. Did the social workers ever get a chance to send you the list of the books?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. If you want, I can give you just a few titles to add to the list once these arrive. If you want to add any other ones.
All right, go ahead.
The Hobbit.
Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Correct. Jurassic Park. And The Howling.
Oh, that was a good one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the movie that gave me werewolf nightmares for, most of my young life. Back when we lived in Summerport, I read the book on an e-book, and I got to tell you, the book was way more terrifying. That gave me nightmares.
Wow, okay.
I've never had a book give me nightmares before, but I read The Howling, and it gave me nightmares.
All right. Well, I won't be reading that one myself. I'm not into that stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So Chris is like, scroll up, Deb. Okay, arriving Tuesday, Eaters of the Dead. It's arriving on the 24th, which is like a week later. And then card game for travelers. That's kind of funny. He's not traveling anywhere. I don't think he can get this card game. They're going to reject it. Deb says yes. And again, arriving Tuesday, Timeline and trivia something. So that's like 5 books. Stefan's like, oh, very nice. Okay, cool. That's exciting. Still no thank you. He's still sounding kind of fake. There's a pause. And then he's like, did the social worker ever get a chance to send you the list of books? And Chris is like, no. So Stefan's like, that's fine. If you want, I can give you just a few titles to add to the list once these arrive, if you want to add any other ones. He has such a manipulative way of speaking, almost like he's helping them out. Well, if you want, I can give you more. Let me give you more of a list. I cannot believe the way this conversation is going. I know it sounds so lighthearted and they're just talking about books. And of course, it's parents still trying to, enable and entertain their son. But it reminds me of like when I was a little girl, going in the grocery store with my mom. And I love to read. I would read my dad's books and everything. And I would sneak Judy Blume's Wifey book. I snuck that in the cart with the other stuff and she didn't see it. And she ended up buying it. I'm like, cool. This is not, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This is Judy Blume's Wifey. Whoa. I was a voracious reader too, but it's reminding me of that. I cannot imagine being a 30-something-year-old woman back in the day talking to my parents like this. Okay, Mom and Dad, like, I don't know what they would have told me, but I mean, come on. Let me give you this list of books you need to correctly buy me. And just wait till he gets to the ones where, oh, this is a must-have. No, it's not. This is a thank you, Jesus, anyone is still talking to me kind of blessing, Stephan. He needs to just get right in his mind. Chris is like, all right, go ahead. He is unbelievable. Stephan's like, The Hobbit, Ready Player One, Jurassic Park, The Howling, and Deb's like, oh, that was a good one. Stephan's like, yeah, you remember the movie? That gave me nightmares most of my young life. Back when we lived in Summerport, I read the book on an ebook. And I gotta tell you, the book was way more terrifying. That gave me nightmares. So he's talking about when they lived, I looked up all their addresses. They lived on Summerport Village Parkway in Windermere, Florida. Maybe there were apartments back then, I don't know. Windermere is an Orlando suburb and it has a population of just over 3,000 and it's one of the best places to live in Florida. So I think this is when they had a little bit more money. Maybe. I don't know. Deb's like, wow, okay. Stephan's like, I've never had a book give me nightmares before, but I read The Howling and it gave me nightmares. So why would Stephan want to read such a book again? Whilst he's locked up in jail, does he like these nightmares? What's going on? Chris is like, well, I won't be reading that one myself. I know. I'm sure we probably saw the Howling movie when I was little. Stephan laughs.
Anything else on this list?
Yeah, actually, let me see here. Dinotopia Lost.
Dinotopia Lost?
Dinotopia Lost.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but you bought me that book when we lived in Bradenton. And it was my first big book.
Okay.
What about, Dinotopia, A Land Apart from Time?
I don't know. I haven't read that one, but I know I like Dinotopia Lost. It was by Alan Dean Foster, and it was a very good book.
And then they got Dinotopia World and Dinotopia Lost.
Yeah, they got like a whole Dinotopia series, but Dinotopia Lost is like a big serious book. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hang on a second, I need to add this to the cart. Won't use it yet, but I want to keep the names right. So what's the next one?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. And I think there was Jaws started as a novel, didn't it?
Jaws started as a novel.
What's that?
Wasn't a movie. It wasn't a movie first. It was a book first.
Yeah, Jaws. I've never read the novel. I'd love to read the novel.
Okay.
And then beyond that, I mean, I've got things like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne.
You mentioned some Agatha Christie.
What's that?
You mentioned Agatha Christie.
Yes, Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie, and I think she wrote a couple others in that series with Hercule Poirot as the lead character. So I think it was Murder on the Orient Express, and I think she also wrote Death on the Nile, and then A Haunting in Venice. I know they made movies off of them.
You want any Tom Swift books?
Tom Swift? Yeah, I'm not familiar with those, actually.
I read them as a kid. They were kind of not science fiction. They were space books, kind of like Star Trek.
Okay, I see. And I've got some other classic literature like Treasure Island, Moby Dick, Heart of Darkness.
Chris is like, anything else on this list? Stephan's like, yeah, actually, let me see here. Now that you asked Dad, Money Man, who's just dropped all this money on all these other books and stuff for me and in my commissary and on my phone account. Here we go. Let's have some more books. Dinotopia Lost, I don't know if you remember, but you bought me that book when we lived in Bradenton, and it was my first big book. So he has some positive memories associated with Dinotopia Lost. It's almost like he's trying to reclaim his childhood in a way, or the positive memories, I think, for asking for that book. But I did look it up, and I found where they lived in Bradenton, Florida for a while, because I even found Deborah's little record of some petite theft or whatever, and she had to do community service in Manatee County, and I was like, ooh, I wonder what this is about. Anyway, Chris is like, okay. Deb's like, what about Dinotopia, A Land Apart from Time? Stephan's like, I don't know, I haven't read that one. I know I like Dinotopia Lost. It's by Alan Dean Foster. It was a very good book. Deb reads off these Dinotopia titles. Stephan's like, yeah, they've got a whole Dinotopia series. Dinotopia Lost is like a big, serious book. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Deb's like, I want to add this to the cart. I won't use it yet, but I want to keep the name. So what's the next one? Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And I think Jaws started as a novel, didn't it? And I was like, yes, indeed. I thought I remembered reading Jaws, but actually I would go in my dad's closet upstairs and I read The Deep. It was published in the 1970s. They made it into a 1977 film. So both Jaws and The Deep were written by Peter Benchley. He must have loved water. Anyway, it was a thriller, The Deep was, about treasure hunting and danger in Bermuda. So my dad had a bunch of books, and this conversation kind of reminded me of just the love of books that my dad passed down to me. He had Agatha Christie, like they're going to talk about. But Chris is like, it wasn't a movie first, it was a book first. And Stephan's like, yeah, Jaws, I never read the novel. I'd love to read the novel. Chris is like, okay. Stephan's like, beyond that, I've got 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That reminds me of my dad. He would always talk about that. Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. Chris says, you mentioned some Agatha Christie. Yeah, her stuff was great. Stephan's like, yes, Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. And I think she wrote a couple more in that series with, how do you pronounce this? Hercule Poirot. I don't know. Stephan pronounces it correctly. He seems to take pride in pronouncing, like, you know, that watch we went over in the last video about him. He just pronounced it so perfectly. And this French name too, Hercule Poirot, whatever it is, as the lead character. I think it was Murder on the Orient Express, and I think she also wrote Death on the Nile and A Haunting in Venice. I know they made movies off of them, Stephan says. Chris is like, do you want any Tom Swift books? And Stephan's like, Tom Swift? Yeah, I'm not familiar with those actually. So Chris is laughing and saying, I read them as a kid. They were kind of not science fiction space books, kind of pre-Star Trek. And Stephan's like, okay, I see. He ignores his dad's question, and it's funny to me that his dad wants to buy Stephan the books he read as a little boy, as if he's speaking to Stephan as a little boy. Almost like Chris is maybe trying to do a little bit of a do-over too. You know, as parents, we look at our mistakes and like, what could I have done differently? And I wonder if Chris is like, this is the way I wish I would have parented him, and now I'm here and let me buy him some Tom Swift books. I don't know. But Stephan just ignores all that and says, I've got some other classic literature. Treasure Island, Moby Dick, Heart of Darkness.
Where are you going to keep all these?
Well, that's why we're kind of starting a little bit at a time. I don't have much in the way of storage right now, although in the regular cell, apparently you have some kind of storage foot locker or something, but if nothing else.
All these books in this movie day.
What's that?
I said it's going to be kind of tough when it's movie day and you got all these books.
Yeah, no kidding. Obviously, the Crichton ones, I definitely want to get those in my hands. I mean, we can take the list slow. You know, you don't have to get them all at once. But the Crichtons are definitely a must-haves. Ready Player One, The Hobbit, you know, J.R.R. Tolkien, must-haves. The Howling, Jaws. Yeah. So I mean, we take them slow. If nothing else, I can have, you know, a few stacks of books up against the wall or something for now.
Okay.
And most of these aren't going to be like super thick, so.
Okay.
And I can give you more if you want, but I figure you've got a good list to go off of for now.
Yeah, we're good enough to work with.
Yeah. Anyway, so you're on Puppy Watch, and what did you eat for dinner tonight?
Where are you going to keep all these? Chris asks. That's why we're starting a little at a time, Stephan says, sucking on his candy. I don't have much on the way of storage right now, although the regular cell has some kind of storage footlocker or something. Chris is like, it's going to be kind of tough when it's moving day and you've got all these books. Stephan's like, yeah, no kidding. Obviously, the Crichton ones, I definitely want to get those in my hands, he's proclaiming. We can take the list slow, he tells his parents. You don't have to get them all at once. I'm like, oh, that's great, Stephan. They don't have to get them all at once. They don't have to get them at all. Anyway, but he goes, the Crichtons are definitely a must-have. Ready Player One, The Hobbit, you know J.R.R. Tolkien is a must-have. I just can't imagine talking to anyone this way. You know, I'm the type of person who tells my husband, you don't have to get me anything for my birthday. Don't go out of your way. Don't feel the pressure. You know how society has pressures on people for us to go big and be fake and buy each other stuff and, you know, all this pressure. Like, we're all working hard. We're all grinding. I'm like, I just want to be with my family. My point is, Stephan's just like, these books are a must-have, he's telling his parents. J.R.R. Tolkien is a must-have. The Howling, Jaws, we can take them slow. If nothing else, I can have a few stacks of books up against the wall for now. And most of these aren't going to be like super thick. I can give you more now if you want, but, you know, I figure you got a good list to go off of for now, Stephan says. And Chris is like, yeah, we got enough to work with. Stephan is reminding me of the male version of Veruca Salt or something, like, Daddy, I want a pony, or I want this. Maybe if you grew up that way, making demands on your parents, maybe that's why he feels so comfortable talking to them that way. He might think it's only books, but his parents are not rolling in the dough. And even if they were, would you be so presumptuous if you're in jail accused of these horrific things, just demanding your parents get you all these must-have books? But I seem to remember somewhere in there Stephan got in trouble for having so many books piled up in that same batch of jail notes. Remember when they found the For Maddie poem? I should try and find that. I think he got in trouble for just having so many books in there. I don't like a lot of books piled around me anyway. I mean, I'm not in jail, praise God, but I don't like having books piled around me anyway because paper like attracts those bugs or silverfish or whatever you call them. Anyway, Stephan's like, anyway, you're on puppy watch and what did you eat for dinner tonight? Finally asking something about his parents.
We had some so-so baby back ribs I got at Sam's. They weren't that good. Didn't like them.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then I had a baked potato, and then I made some keto brownies. I didn't like those either.
Yeah.
Stephan.
Yeah.
Trilogy.
What's that?
There's a trilogy for Howling.
I can't hear her too well.
There's a Howling trilogy book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Yeah, go for that. I didn't know if they had any more Howling books or not. I knew of the first one. I didn't know if they had written any more. So if they got a trilogy, yeah, go for the trilogy.
yeah. You can tell it's a trilogy. It's $26 for the book.
Oh, or is it like one big book?
Yeah, one big book has 3 stories in it.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Yeah, that's good. And that also won't take up as much space.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
Chris is like, well, we had some so-so baby back ribs I got from Sam's. They weren't that good. Didn't like them. So Chris is always trying to downplay his dinner. I don't know if he's doing this on purpose, like before with the fettuccine alfredo or whatever. But he's like, oh, this wasn't that good, or whatever he was cooking, and this wasn't that good. I don't know if he's trying to like say, oh, Stephan, you're not missing anything. Stephan's like, oh, I see. Chris is like, I had a baked potato, then I made some keto brownies. Didn't like those either. Deb asks, oh, what about the Howling trilogy? And Stephan's like, oh, really? Yeah, go for that. I didn't know if they had any more Howling books. I knew of the first one. Yeah, go for the trilogy. Deb is like, you can tell it's a trilogy. $26 for the book. So Stephan's like, is it like one big book? Deb is like, yeah, one big book, 3 stories in it. So Stephan says creepily to me, oh, very nice. Like the way he says that, it just creeps me out knowing what he's charged with, the way he talks sometimes. Oh, very nice. Anyway, he's like, okay, yeah, that's good. Also, that won't take up as much space. Yeah, I was hoping they wrote more than one. That'll definitely give me nightmares. Deb is laughing. My Pet Werewolf, Stephen King, Cycle of the Werewolf. And Stephan's like, yeah, if you can find highly rated werewolf books. And Deb's like, well, they've got 4.5 stars. Stephan's like, that's not bad then.
I was hoping they wrote more than one. Yeah, definitely. That's exciting. That was nightmares.
My Pet Werewolf,
What's that?
Stephen King, Cycle of the Werewolf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they got good werewolf, I mean, if you can find highly rated werewolf books, that's always...
Well, they've got 4.5 stars.
Well, that's not bad, then. And Stephen King is, he's the king of horror, so I presume his would be good.
Yeah, you would think so. That trilogy didn't have an add to cart. You had to put it on the list, so it may not be available.
Okay, well...
And then you've got Stephen King, Eyes of the Dragon.
I don't know what that one is. But if you can only get the first Howling book, that's fine. Or if you have to get them individually, that's fine too.
Okay.
As long as we at least get the first one in my hands, I'll be somewhat satisfied with that. Now that I know there's a trilogy, though, that's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, yeah, that one's available.
Okay.
The Howling.
Yeah, I hope.
No. No, it says the Howling book, and it's a Library of Doom graphic novel. No, that's not what you want.
It's a what?
It's a graphic novel, so it's a big comic book.
It's not the book.
It's not the book you wanted.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, graphic novels sound interesting, and I'd love to be able to get some graphic novels in here. I'm just,
Did they let you?
Maybe they might. I talked to the mental health director, and she seemed to think that it should be okay as long as it's not like super offensive, and of course as long as it's not like bound by staples or anything like that. But I would definitely want to have the regular novel first, though.
1 minute remaining.
There's the 1 minute. What's that? Found the what?
She found the book.
Okay. I'm going to call you guys back in about 15 minutes, if I'm able to, and you know the drill. If not, you'll hear from me in the next one.
Okay. All right. Talk to you. Bye.
So Stephen King is the king of horror, Stephan says. So he's presuming his would be good. Deb is like, you would think so. And that trilogy didn't have an add to cart, so you had to put it on the list, Deb says. But according to the photos, I see they did end up getting it. Now, the photos that appeared in this one document, I don't know if those are photos of books that were rejected and never made it to him, or just photos of the books before they gave it to him. But she's like, you got Stephen King, Eye for the Dragon. Stephan's like, I don't know what that one is. But if you can get the first Howling book, that's fine. If you have to get them individually, that's fine too. So he's so kind to give his mom all these options. If you can get the whole trilogy, or just buy all the Howling books separately if you want. Deb's like, okay. Stephan's like, as long as I get the first one in my hands, I'll be somewhat satisfied with that. He's just like tripping me out, his hubris. Now that I know there's a trilogy, that's pretty cool. Deb's like, yeah, that one's available, The Howling. No, it says The Howling book, and it's a Library of Doom graphic novel. That's not what you want. Stephan's like, it's a what? It's a graphic novel. It's a big comic book, not the book you want. So this gives Stephan that graphic novel idea like they were talking about before, the manga books. manga books. Stefan's like, graphic novels sound interesting. I'd love to be able to get some graphic novels in here. He's bringing that up again. It's just, Deb's like, do they let you? Stefan's like, maybe they might. I talked to a mental health director. She seemed to think that it should be okay as long as it's not like super offensive, as long as it's not bound by staples or anything like that. But I would definitely want to have the regular novel first, though. So there's 1 minute remaining, and Deb is like, I do believe. Stefan's like, what? Chris is like, she found the book. Stefan's like, okay, I'm going to call you guys back in about 15 minutes if I'm able to. You know the drill. If not, Chris is like, okay, talk to you soon. So Stephan calls back at 8:44 p.m. on June 16th. His balance is now down to $30.70. It's a short call, only 90 seconds. It gets cut off for some reason. Stefan's like, hello again.
The time is 8:44 p.m.
United States of America.
Your account balance is $30.70.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello there.
I was just thinking, it's amazing how many of Crichton's books have been turned into movies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Stephen King's as well. So we were talking, Stephen King has some werewolf books as well?
Yep.
Okay. This sounded interesting. And,
let's do everything at once, but listen up. I'm going to go through a list of what I've got on here for you.
okay.
Okay. Chris. Oh, where are they? Okay. Michael Crichton Eruptions.
Uh-huh.
The Dune Saga.
Okay.
3 of them. Let's see. The Call of the Wild.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a classic.
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick, very good.
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit, must have.
It by Stephen King.
Ooh, that one's going to give me some nightmares too, I bet.
The Howling.
Yeah, very good.
I'm trying to get the trilogy on that. Stephen King.
Deb's like, hello. She sounds so chipper when she hears from him. Chris is like, hello there. So Stefan's like, I was just thinking how it's amazing how many crappy books get turned into movies. Stephen King's as well. Stephen King would just pound out. I mean, he was like the book, The Tommyknockers. I always thought of that when that woman was dreaming and her typewriter was just... I wish I could do that sometimes. Her typewriter was just like typing out her thoughts when she was dreaming. That's like Stephen King with his books. I mean, he was just like prolific. So we were talking. Stephen King has some werewolf books as well. And Deb is like, yep. So Stefan's like, sounded interesting. Deb's like, we won't send everything at once, but listen up. I'm going to go through a list of everything I've got on here. Stefan's like, okay. Deb's like, Michael Crichton Eruption, the Dune Saga, 3 of them, The Call of the Wild. Stefan's like, oh, that's a good one. That's classic. Moby Dick, very good. The Hobbit, Stephan says, must have. It by Stephen King. Ooh, that's going to give me some nightmares too, I bet. Now later, Stephan will direct his parents to remove this It from the list, as well as the book Christine they'll talk about. Deb laughs. The Howling, yep, very good. Deb, I'm going to try and get the trilogy on that. Stephen King, and the call cuts off. Very interesting, huh? He calls back at 8:48 p.m., still June 16th. It says, you may not make calls for 15 minutes, and you hear Stephan getting angry. Are you effing kidding me? He says.
The time is 8:48 p.m. You may not make calls for 15 minutes. Error code 158.
So he tries again at 9:01.
The time is 9:01 p.m. You may not make calls for 1 minute.
He finally gets through at 9:02 on June 16th. Stefan's like, hey, I'm sorry about that. I think we got cut off. And Chris is like, yeah, the phone said call failed. Stefan's like, stupid phone systems. So we were going down that book list. Did you want to try to go down it again for me? Deb's like, I can. Chris is like, yeah, hang on.
The time is 9:02 p.m.
United States of America. Hey, I'm sorry about that. I think we got cut off.
We did.
Yeah, the phone said call failed.
Stupid phone systems. So we were going down that book list. Did you want to try to go down it again for me?
I can.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Let me get back to where I was. Okay. Well, it'd probably be better just to go to the cart and read them out.
Yeah, probably.
I've got 26 books in there
Okay.
at a price of $342, so we're not sending them all at once.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Deb's like, hang on, Stephan, let me get back to where I was. Okay, it would probably be better to just go to the cart and read them out. And Stephan's like, yeah, probably. So Deb's like, I've got 26 books in there at a price of $342. So we're not sending them all at once. Stephan's like, yeah, no kidding. See all this money they're spending on books and phone calls and commissary alone? Not to mention if they ever have traveled to go see him in person.
Okay, so what we've got, you've already got those that are arriving. So now, how about Next by Michael Crichton?
Okay.
Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King.
Cycle of the Werewolf.
The Andromeda Strain by Crichton.
Okay.
Pirate Latitudes by Crichton.
Pirate Latitudes by Crichton. Crichton's written a lot of stuff, huh?
Uh-huh. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yeah.
Says illustrated classic edition with original illustrations.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
As long as it's all paperback, right?
Yes, all paperback. The Dune Saga 3-book box set, Dune, Dune Messiah, and Children of Dune.
All right. Well, hopefully they won't have a problem with it being a box. They might not let me have the box, but they might give me the box.
It's just called a box set, but I don't know what it does. Okay. Call of the Wild.
Call of the Wild, yeah.
Jaws. Moby Dick. The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, nice.
Eruption. It follows Jurassic Park.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Eruption.
And Congo.
Oh, Congo, I forgot about that one.
I didn't. I love that.
Oh.
The Howling Trilogy.
The Howling Trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Dinotopia Lost.
Very good.
Eyes of the Dragon, King.
Eyes of the Dragon by King.
Here's one you forgot. Christine by Stephen King.
Oh, is that the car?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that one's,
The Hobbit.
Yeah, Hobbit.
It by Stephen King.
It.
Mm-hmm. Jurassic Park.
Yep, Must Have, yep.
And Lost World Jurassic Park 2.
Oh, was that also by Crichton?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And the last one is Michael Crichton, and it's Prey. P-R-E-Y.
P-R-E-Y. Prey. Huh. Wonder what that one's about.
I don't know. But we'll start sending some that maybe you haven't gotten, but they'll come. They're just going to come a couple at a time.
Yep, that's fine. Definitely the Crichtons and the Hobbit. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize how much I really enjoyed Michael Crichton.
Well, he's a very good author.
Yeah,
he just really grabs his audience and holds on to them.
Yeah, no kidding. He definitely held on to me.
But I thought that Christine would be one that you would go, ooh, I forgot.
Yeah, I did forget about that one.
So some of the old stuff. Now, I didn't send you Pet Cemetery because I don't like that book. I don't like that story.
Deb's like, okay, you've already got those that are arriving. How about Nick by Michael Crichton? Stephan's like, okay. Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. The Andromeda Strain by Crichton. I remember that movie. I think it was good. Pirate Latitude by Crichton. And Stephan's like, Crichton's written a lot of stuff, huh? Deb's like, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It says Illustrated Classic Edition with original illustrations. Stephan's like, oh, cool. As long as it's all paperback, right? Yes, all paperback. The Dune Saga, 3 books, Dune box set, Dune Messiah, Children of Dune. Stephan says hopefully they won't have a problem with it being a box set. They won't let me have the box. Deb's like, no, it's just called a box set, but it's, I don't know what it is. Okay, Call of the Wild Jaws, Moby Dick, The Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Stephan's like, nice. Eruption, It Follows, Jurassic Park. Oh, really? And Congo. Stephan's like, oh, Congo, I forgot about that one. I didn't, Deb says. I love that. The Howling Trilogy, Dinotopia Lost. Stephan lowering his voice. Very good. Deb, Eyes of the Dragon, King. Here's one you forgot. Christine by Stephen King. Stephan's like, oh, is that the car? Deb's like, yeah. So in later emails, Stephan will direct his parents to remove Christine. I don't know what he didn't like it. Remember that was like that red car, a car of, a guy loved his car and gave her a name, I guess, and she had a mind of her own. And why didn't Stephan like that one? Anyway, The Hobbit, It by Stephen King, Jurassic Park, Stephan, yep. Must have, yep. And Lost World Jurassic Park 2. Stephan's like, oh, was that also by Crichton? Deb's like, yeah, and the last one by Crichton is Prey. P-R-E-Y. Stephan's like, P-R-E-Y? I wonder what that's about. Deb is sing-songy. She's like, I don't know, but we'll start sending some that maybe you haven't gotten. They'll still come. They're just going to come a couple at a time. Yeah, because his parents can't afford to just send all these $350 worth of books. Stephan's like, yeah, that's fine. Definitely the Crichtons and The Hobbit. I didn't realize how much I enjoy Michael Crichton. Deb's like, well, he's a very good author. So it seems like Stephan and his mom are bonding over books because at this point, his dad hasn't said much. Stephan's like, yeah, no kidding. Deb is like, he really grabs his audience and holds on to them. And Stephan's like, yeah, no kidding. He held on to me, but I thought Christine would be the one that you would go, ooh, I forgot. And Stephan's like, yeah, I did forget about that one, but he doesn't tell them until the text messages where he's more direct, where he's like, remove it and Christine. Anyway, Deb's like, yeah, some of the old stuff. Now, I didn't send you Pet Cemetery because I don't like that book. I don't like that story. Stephan's like, yeah, the movie was straight up nothing. I've heard the book will really F with you.
Yeah, I mean, the movie was screwed up enough, but I've heard the book will really fuck with you.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
Yeah. That's,
So Pet Cemetery is a 1983 horror novel by Stephen King. It was later adapted into 2 films, one in 1989, the other in 2019. And the story revolves around the Creed family. They moved to a rural, that's one of those difficult words, rural Maine town and discover a mysterious burial ground with the power to resurrect the dead, leading to tragic consequences. I don't know what happened, so I can't spoil it. I don't remember. The story explores the profound grief the Creeds experience after the death of their cat and later their son. So, if Deb indeed lost a child, I'm not sure if she did, and we know she loves animals, I can see why she wouldn't like Pet Cemetery. It must be hitting too close to home for maybe both of them, with Maddie's death as well. They don't want to think of the dead coming back to life and maybe exacting vengeance upon someone. I don't know, revenge? Deb is like, yeah, I don't think we need that. I wish you could ask them if you're allowed, if it comes from Amazon, any hard candy. So not only books, she wants to send them all the candy.
I wish you would ask them if you're allowed, if it comes from Amazon, any hard candy.
I discussed
because you can't seem to get it there.
I mean, it's just that they go through the commissary company, and they probably have a contract, if I had to guess, with the commissary company. And if they were to let people get snacks off of Amazon, I assume the commissary company might be a little pissy about that.
Okay, never mind then.
I mean, I'll ask, but
So if it's something that the commissary doesn't stock, that's different. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'll ask. I'll definitely ask.
Like I was thinking about that coffee flavored candy that you liked.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to get coffee candy. There's a couple of brands that are really good. Copico and United are both really good brands of coffee candy.
I know. I took all the ones that were in your room and put them in my room, and I've been eating about one every other day.
Oh, yeah?
I like the cappuccino ones that are half white and half brown.
The cappuccino ones are really good, yeah. Those are the Copico brands, and then the regular Copicos are really good as well.
Yep, the square ones, yeah.
And the United brand, that's like the Copico, but it's a little bit of a bolder flavor.
Okay. And I don't know the Mexican candy that you like. I don't know the name of it.
Revolsadita.
Well, forget that. I don't know. Still don't know it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if it's something that they do not have and will not have, maybe they would let you get it sent in.
I don't know.
Because it is a hard candy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's coming straight from the manufacturer. So.
Ask. It could be a security issue, but I'll ask.
I don't know how. Okay. It's not coming from us. It's coming from Amazon.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. It's just, they're weird about stuff, but I'll see what they say.
Stephan's like, I discussed it a little bit with the social worker. Deb talks over him because you can't get it in there. Stephan's like, if it goes through the commissary company, and they probably have a contract, if I had to guess, with the commissary company, and if they were to let people get snacks off of Amazon, I assume the commissary company might be a little itchy about that, something he says. Deb's like, okay, never mind them. And Stephan's like, I'll ask. And Deb is like, well, it's something that the commissary, if it's something they don't stock, that's different. I don't know, like I was thinking about that coffee flavored candy that you like. He must love a lot of coffee flavored stuff. Stephan's like, yeah, I'd love to be able to get coffee candy. There's a couple of brands that are really good. Something like Copico and United are really good brands of coffee candy. And Deb's like, I know, I took all the ones that were in your room and I put them in my room, and I've been eating one every other day. So that must remind her a way of feel close to her son. Like, I wouldn't want to take anything out of his room. Like, it sounds like it was a mess and who knows what was in there. But Deb did. Stephan's like, oh yeah. Deb's like, I like the cappuccino ones that are half white and half brown. And Stephan's like, the cappuccino ones are really good. The Copico brand and the regular ones are really good as well. Deb's like, yeah, the square one. And Stephan's like, and the United ones, it's a little bit of a bolder flavor. And Deb's like, I don't know the Mexican candy. I don't know the name of it. And Stephan says something like Real Valdita or something, he says. And Deb's like, oh, forget that. I still don't know. She's laughing. Well, if it's something that they do not have and will not have, maybe they will let you get it sent in. Because it is hard candy. It's coming straight from the manufacturer. Stephan's like, it could be a security issue, but I'll ask. Deb's like, okay. It's not coming from us. It's coming from Amazon. Stephan's like, I know, I'm aware. It's just they're weird about stuff. I'll see what they say. So there's that mama bear and her coming out. She's so insistent. She just wants to get him candy. It's like she just wants her little boy to feel good. And Deb's like, okay, you've got all the toiletries you need.
Okay, and you got all the toiletries you need?
I ordered shampoo and washcloths off of commissary. I've still got toothpaste and deodorant. And I've got a toothbrush and all that. So for now, I think I probably need to get some lotion or something now. Laying on this mat, like my elbows and my ankles are getting just messed up.
Yeah, probably rubbing.
Yeah, restriction, and also my forehead is becoming permanently creased by worry lines.
Right. Worry lines.
Oh.
Yeah. So, it's getting permanently my forehead, going across my forehead. It's probably doesn't help that I'm probably chronically dehydrated as well.
You're not drinking enough water?
Yeah, I'm probably not drinking enough water because it's just tap water, so I try to drink enough, but it's...
I thought you were able to order those powders from the commissary that, turn it into fruit punch or something.
That's money, and, the stuff that I'd like to keep in stock is already, pricey enough, plus the things I splurge on every once in a while. I try to make sure that I have enough coffee because coffee is very comforting. It's one of the few things that, gives me any enjoyment here. Every time I drink a cup of coffee, it just releases a whole bunch of happy chemicals in my brain. And then, my hard candies and my saltine crackers. So, I mean, beyond that, it's, you know, it gets expensive if I start going much beyond that stuff.
Yeah.
Stephan's like, I ordered shampoo and washcloths off of commissary. I still got toothpaste and deodorant. I've got a toothbrush and all that. So for now, I think I probably need to get some lotion or something. The other YouTuber made a video, I didn't watch it yet, about the lotion Stephan requested here. I'm just not a lotion person. I like oil. Oil is just so much better to me. Anyway, laying on this mat, Stephan says, my ankles and my elbows are just getting messed up. And Deb is like, yeah, probably rubbing. And Stephan's like, yeah, this friction in my forehead is becoming permanently creased. My worry lines. Chris is like, what lines? And Deb is like, worry lines. I try not to frown too much, but I've only gotten Botox once and I never ever want to get it again. Anyway, Stephan's like, permanently going across my forehead. It probably doesn't help that I'm chronically dehydrated as well. Here he is back to his victimhood. Oh, mom and dad, my cheeks so sunken in, I'm about to die. I'm chronically dehydrated. Deb's like, are you not drinking enough water? Stephan's like, I'm probably not drinking enough water because it's just tap water. So I try to drink enough, but Deb's like, I thought you were able to order those powders from the commissary, fruit punch or something. Stephan's like, that's money, you know. The stuff I like to keep in stock is already pricey enough. Good thing to splurge on every once in a while. I try to make sure I have enough coffee because coffee is very comforting. It's one of the few things that gives me any enjoyment in here. Every time I drink a cup of coffee, it releases a whole bunch of happy chemicals in my brain. My hard candies, my saltine crackers, it gets expensive if I start going much beyond that stuff. So Deb is saying something to Chris and she's exhaling.
Oh, well, you know, we've got a lot going on here, so we'll keep you up to date with that. I think she's going to have puppies within the next 12 to 18 hours, so.
Oh my goodness.
I wish I could send you a picture of them.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
I think once you get that tablet thing, I think we may be able to send you a picture like that.
Yeah, actually, you can send pictures, and they'll either scan them in to the system, or you can continue through that.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so you can totally send me pictures, and they'll scan them in electronically.
Well, I don't know how to send you a picture and have them scan it in unless I send it via email.
I think maybe even if you send a physical picture or something, they might physically see.
We don't. No, nobody takes a physical picture anymore. It's all, we all do it on cameras. It goes straight to our computer.
Yeah, or you can print it out, maybe, but I don't know. Well, I'll have to ask the mental health people and see how that system works.
Okay, do that.
Deb is like, yeah, well, we've got a lot going on here. We'll keep you up to date with that. I think she's going to have puppies in the next 12 to 8 hours or so. Stephan's like, oh my goodness. Deb's like, I wish I could send you a picture of them. And Stephan's like, yeah, well. Deb's like, I think once you get that tablet thing, I think we might be able to send you a picture like that. Stephan's like, yeah, actually, you can send pictures and they'll either scan them into the system or you can send them to me through that. And Deb's like, that's what I heard. Stephan's like, yeah, you can totally send me pictures and they'll scan them in electronically. Deb's like, well, I don't know how to send you a picture and have them scan it in unless I send it via email. Stephan's like, I think if you send a physical picture, they might scan. Deb's like, nobody takes physical pictures anymore. We all do it on the camera. It goes straight to our computer. Isn't it ironic? They're talking about photos when you think of all the CSAM photos Stephan has taken. Anyway, Stephan's like, yeah, you can print it out maybe. I don't know. I'll have to ask the mental health people and see how that system works. Deb's like, okay, do that. Are they giving you anything for anxiety and sleep?
Are they giving you anything for anxiety and sleep?
No. Like I said before, when I got the murder charge, I asked them for something for anxiety, and they gave me an antidepressant that also doubles for anxiety, and that gave me even worse symptoms. So.
That gives you worse symptoms?
Yeah, we already went through that.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, I started feeling extremely panicky, and like an elephant was sitting on my chest, and the sky was crushing down on me.
Okay, baby, well, we can't do that.
Nope, so I decided I'd just take my chances with the depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And it's been mostly okay, although lately, I guess for a little while now, I've been having some mild hallucinations.
Yeah?
Like I'll see random flashes of light while I'm reading my books, like on my hands, like as I'm moving through the words, like each word will jitter out like a Morse code flash of light on my hand, and then I'm catching little flickers of movement out of the corners of my eye.
Well, you know, that could be a visitation from, you don't know.
Well, I don't know. I keep catching flickers of movement out of the corner of my eye, like just out of the periphery of my vision, like I'm seeing a bug move or something, and then I look over and I'm there.
Okay.
So I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe the isolation is starting to mess with me, or maybe just all the trauma and everything is just taking its toll.
I would imagine it has. It's taking its toll on everyone.
Yeah. You know. And she passed away. You know, I suffered a catastrophic mental breakdown at that point. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not.
And I was literally out of my mind when I was first booked into jail. I was hallucinating. I was hearing things and seeing things very badly. And it took me about a week to come out of that.
I hope you're sharing all that with your attorneys.
I did, and the mental health people knew about it as well, because, you know, they're the ones that interview you when you come in. They're like, you know, are you seeing anything? Are you hearing anything? I was like, yes, you know, to both. I was hearing reverberating noises going through my cell and in my head, and I would look at the doors, and it looked like the doors were breathing. And then it took me about a week to come out of that, and then it took me another 3 weeks or so before I started to regain some lucidity in my mind and some clarity again. And it took me a while to come out of that. You guys, I don't think you guys knew that.
No, did not.
Yeah, so I was not in my right mind after I found her.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's
I mean, I understand why, but
a complete mental and emotional breakdown, and then everything that followed was kind of a result of that.
oh, well,
I wish I'd handled that passing a lot better, but I was not capable of rational thoughts or actions at that point. I literally was not in my right mind.
Okay, baby. Well, we know what we think happened, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's hard to believe we're halfway through June already.
It is, isn't it?
May crept up slowly, and now June is just flying by.
Whoops, you got a minute.
Yeah, this will probably be my last call tonight, but I'll call you back within the next couple of days.
Okay. Hopefully we'll have news about puppies by then.
I assume you might. You said there's going to be 8 of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you've hidden one.
Who knows? You never know. We always used to play Count the Spines.
Yeah, well, I was there when they counted the skulls on this one, and that was pretty good
Okay.
count, so.
Well, I love you guys, and I'll talk to you within the next couple of days or so. Be good, okay?
Well, this is
for those books.
Well, when your heart stops beating, so does your opportunity to repent, so make your heart right with God while you can. That I just read. I like that.
I do.
Don't forget that.
Almost every day.
I know, darling. Okay, I know you're going to be gone, so
Okay.
just want to say I love you, and we're thinking about you.
Thank you
Hello
for
there.
calling IT Solutions.
Love you, Dad.
Goodbye.
Stephan's like, no, like I said before, when I got the murder charge, I asked them for something for anxiety, and they gave me an antidepressant that also doubles for anxiety, and that gave me even worse of a down spell, I think he says. Deb is like, that gave you worse symptoms? Chris is like, yeah, we already went through that. I don't know if we've heard that call yet. Deb's like, oh crap. Stephan's like, yeah, I started feeling extremely panicky, like an elephant was sitting on my chest, and the sky was crushing down on me. Deb's like, okay, baby, well, something like, well, it can't be like that, or you you can't keep taking that. And Stefan's like, no, I decided I would just take my chances with the depression and anxiety. I guess I'm okay. But lately, of course, he's got more, here, Mom and Dad worry about all this for me. Lately, well, for a while now, I've been having some mild hallucinations. Like I'll see random flashes of light while I'm reading a book. I see flashes too sometimes, like because my left eye is a miracle. All it's been through. So I don't know if that's what he's talking about. But he's like, well, I'm moving through the words when I'm reading my book. Each word will jitter out like a Morse code flash of light on my hand. And then I'm catching little flickers of movement out of the corner of my eye. I don't know if that's floaters or more demonic stuff or what. Deb's like, that could be a visitation from Maddie. You don't know. Deb is almost saying it in a way like, oh, you're getting a visitation from Maddie in a happy or holy way. But I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's more like demons visiting Stephan, or like Chris Watts' jail experience where he thought he saw Cece, his daughter that he killed, moving the papers or whatever. Sometimes evil does visit people in weird ways. So like if you're living wrong, believe me, I know when I've done wrong things, strange things happen. Like in the steam room, I feel like, oh, I saw a figure or something. Like to me, Stephan did the ultimate wrong. And so these things are happening to him beyond the veil because I feel like he hasn't truly confessed to God or given up the truth about what happened. So this stuff might still keep happening to him. Stephan's like, I don't know. I keep catching movements out of the corner of my eye, like just out of the periphery of my vision, like I'm seeing a bug move or something. I'll look over and there's nothing there. Deb's like, okay. So Stephan's like, I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe isolation is starting to mess with me, or all the trauma is taking its toll. He had the nerve to say, like, he's been through so much trauma, it's taking its toll on him. I'm like, oh my goodness, this dude. Anyway, Deb's like, I would imagine it's taken its toll on everyone. And Stern says, when she passed, I suffered a catastrophic mental breakdown at that point. I don't know if you know that. Deb's like, no, I didn't. Chris is like, I'm staying quiet on this BS. Let's see where this guy goes with this. Stephan's like, I was literally out of my mind when I was first booked into jail. I was hallucinating. I was hearing things and seeing things very badly. And it took me about a week to come out of that. And Deb's like, I hope you're sharing that with all your attorneys. Stephan's like, I did. And the mental health people knew about it as well because they're the ones that interview you when you come in. Like, are you seeing anything? Are you hearing anything? I was like, yes. Reverberating noises going through my cell and in my head. I would look at the doors and it looked like the doors were breathing. It took me about a week to come out of that. It took me about another 3 weeks to regain some lucidity in my mind and some clarity again. It took me a while to come out of that. I don't think you guys knew that. Deb, no, we didn't. Sterns is like, I was not in my right mind after I found her. So he's still going with this BS that he just found Maddie. He just happened upon her and she was dead. That's why he's having all these crazy incidents happening, because he keeps lying. Like, we can't lie to God. He can try and pass this off as, I left the room and whoops, I just found her, hours later, and she was cold and her lips were blue and I have no idea how she got that way. If he keeps up with that line of lies, nothing's going to go right. But Deb's like, I'm so sorry. I mean, I understand why, but... And Stephan's like, complete mental and emotional breakdown. And then everything that followed was kind of a result of that. I wish I'd handled that passing a lot better. You know, he can't call it a death or a murder. He has to call it that passing, like Maddie just passed, and I don't know how. I wish I'd handled that passing a lot better, but I was not capable of rational thoughts or actions at that point. I literally was not in my right mind. You know, everything is like, not my fault. But he doesn't talk about all those cover-up and lies after Maddie's death. If he was not in his right mind, you know, how did he have the wherewithal to stand there in Yolanda's office like, it's an image thing, and, you know, talking to that other kid all loud. I hate when people do this. Like, the cops were there, Jen is talking to the cops. Stephan is so obviously turned around talking to that kid, and I was going here, and like, he doesn't immediately turn around and just talk to the cops. He's over there having a side, loud, double conversation when Jen is trying to talk to the cops. He's such a fraud. I just can't. Deb's like, okay, baby, we know what we think happened, so it doesn't matter. So, you know, Stephan changes the topic. Deb is, again, she's thinking it's all Jen's fault. Stephan's like, it's hard to believe we're halfway through June already. Deb is like, it is, isn't it? So 1 minute remaining. We're almost done with this last call here. Stephan's like, May crept by slowly, and now June is just flying by. Deb is like, well, you got a minute. Stephan's like, yeah, this will probably be my last call tonight. I'll call you back within the next couple of days. And he doesn't. Deb is like, hopefully we'll have news about the puppies by then. Stephan's like, I assume you might. You said there's going to be 8 of them? Deb is like, yes, unless she's hidden one. Stephan's like, who knows? You never know. We always used to play count the spines. Deb's like, yeah, well, I was there when they counted the skulls, and that was a pretty good count, so. And Stephan's like, well, I love you guys, and I'll talk with you the next couple of days. Be good, and I'll look out for those books. I like this. Deb says, well, when your heart stops beating, so does your opportunity to repent, to make your heart right with God while you can. I just read that. I like that. Don't forget that. Stephan's like, I do, almost every day. Deb's like, I know, darling. Okay, I know you're going to be gone, so I just want to say I love you and we're thinking about you. It's almost like mother's intuition. She knew she wasn't going to hear from him for a while through the phone. Stephan's like, okay, Mama Bear, love you, Dad. The phone just cuts off. So after this set of June 16th calls, Stephan would wait nearly 3 months to make calls again, according to my records, all the way until September 20th, 2024. And he wouldn't get through on that day, which is weird. So not again until October 18th, 2024 would Stephan begin speaking on the phone again. However, only 3 days later after this call, on June 19th, he would get access to the tablet and begin emailing his parents. So maybe that was more cost effective and less confrontational than speaking on the phone to his parents as much, even though Deb is still going to confront him. She will still confront him in these text messages. For now, let's read Numbers 6:24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. That's my prayer for you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Now, I don't really have time to read all these messages, but I will say on June 19th, he does email his dad and he's like, I got access to the tablet, and they're talking about the puppies. He's moved to a regular isolation cell in C-Pod. He might stay there a while and he misses the windows he had before. They're talking about the books delivered and all that stuff. He finally has the tablet again on June 22nd. And then he's saying, yeah, the origami books arrived, the playing cards, he couldn't have all that. It's just in his property and that sucks. He still needs a book, just a book and nothing else, he tells his dad. Could you possibly send a new one that's just a book? And going forward, send only books and nothing else with them. That's the rule. Please make sure mom understands this as well. And he's just woe is meing again about he doesn't have a standard issue utensil. So he's like, I mentioned this to the officer who was dispensing the food at lunch, and he said, figure something out, and walked away. And he's talking about the flat mat, very little cushion. The cell is small and filthy, has some spots on the wall that appear to be bloody fingerprints. And so he's trying to get all this stuff. And his dad hasn't gotten a note from the social worker. Stephan is asking his dad, how much do these calls cost, you know? Because he's like, I've used up all my free credits and everything. And he's trying to tell them, we've been over this before, so you can go through the playlist. But he's trying to tell them basically what to do with all his little mini toys and which ones to keep. He's like, I got to know what's going to happen with my case. Maybe sell these. This guy can help you sell these, but maybe, you know, not my Tamagotchis yet. Just wait. We'll see where the case goes. Some of those are really rare and expensive in the condition that they're in. So they're still messaging on June 25th. And they had to reorder Congo because for some reason it was canceled. Talking about their parents' weight loss. Stephan is doing a little bit of exercise. He's like, oh, it's funny. My arms are starting to look a bit bigger. It's funny how quickly and dramatically I get results from working out. I really should have done it more before. So he's just talking about continuing to lose weight, and there it is. I've never felt a full stomach, and I've forgotten, in fact, what that's like. There's never a time these days when I don't feel hungry, even right after a meal, which I completely clear my tray. I still feel hungry. So I wonder why he skips breakfast so much then, because he'd rather sleep. But then he had run out of coffee, and he's like, oh boy, he had an issue getting to his commissary money for some reason, and so he was like, oh no, I have only 7 coffees left, which is dangerously low for me. I usually like 2 a day, and I've started rationing it down. He got a random drug test, he's saying, and this is when his mom confronts him. on June 25th at 9:11 p.m. Remember this? She's like, I keep thinking about how you would never rat out a friend. It really made me mad, and I felt like you valued them over us when you let them get away with stuff. Don't be doing that again. We all know Jen was heavily involved in this, and I am disgusted that she is free and you are not when this is not all your fault. You need to think about yourself more and her less. She sure isn't thinking of you and how she can help you right now. The whole family is willing to stay quiet and let you take the fall for everything. When you do that, you are hurting us too. Please get out of your head over this and start talking with your attorneys. This stuff is serious, and you need to approach it as life and death, which it is. I think of the craziness Maddie lived through with Jen's various partners. Not a stable life at all for a child. I do pray for Maddie and for you daily. So it's funny how this email, he totally did not address it at all. He just went back to talking about the commissary, talking about how much he had left. He's like, I'm not addressing that at all. He's talking about books. And then Chris, by June 29th, is telling Sterns, okay, I'll put more funds in. Puppies are good and all that stuff. And then Stephan's like, okay, thank you. And keep trying to add funds because Chris was having problem adding funds too. If I'm lucky, this is Sterns on June 29th, I might be able to use the kiosk again tomorrow and perhaps a few more items, like candies and crackers. So by June 29th also, he's telling him remove it and Christine and Call of the Wild. He's like, basically, I don't want those. I'll send you my own list so you can compare it. And the tablet is running out of battery. So that's it. We will see where this case goes. Thank you for watching all this. I'm glad I'm done with all these deep dives. So then when new information comes, I can deep dive into all of that, see what happens. Is Stephan going to enter a guilty plea or is he going to drag this out to the bitter end? He will probably, knowing him, his hubris, his self-centeredness, his fake Christianity, in my opinion, because if he were really real, I feel like hearing from God, wanted real repentance, he wouldn't be playing all these mind games still. He wouldn't be going to court maybe to let me see if I can shoot my shot. It worked for OJ. It worked for Casey Anthony. Maybe it'll work for me. Who knows? Maybe I'll get off on a technicality. Maybe they'll get rid of all this evidence. I have a slim chance. Maybe God will deliver me. We don't know what's going to happen, but we will see. Thank you so much for watching all this, and then we'll do some more deep dives before long, I pray. And Jesus, have a blessed Resurrection Sunday, everyone, and I'll see you later.